Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, how you doing?
Good, doing good. It's a bit of a gloomier weekend this time around.
Yeah, at least today. It's Sunday. May the fourth
Yeah,
be with you. May 4th.
right? Yeah,
We're here on this holy holiday, Miguel. And actually, I guess it's pretty fitting that I have that on the wall.
mm,
Just definitely my Empire Strikes Back um, poster. Which actually, I'll tell you the story. I don't know if you knew this, but that poster is why the podcast is called The Barbell Strikes Back.
hmm,
It's not just because the movie's The Empire Strikes Back, and so I'll call the bar or the podcast The Barbell Strikes Back. During COVID, when all right, I was getting bored, and I was like, well, what if I try this podcast thing? Talk to people. I'm stuck in here, all by myself. Let's see what my friends out in the fitness community are doing, and just try it. Step outside my comfort zone that way. I was actually in the living room here doing like an at-home workout for Albany CrossFit, and we couldn't do double unders, because I'm not going to do double unders in here or anything. So I was doing jumping jacks, and I was literally just staring at this thing, and it just popped into my head. Barbell Strikes Back, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, well, that's kind of cool, you know. And it may have been because I was like, I really wish, or I could use a barbell instead of doing endless
mm,
dumb workouts and stuff. And I was doing barbell stuff down in a closet here at the Towers of Calamine because the property manager at the time, he no longer works here. He was nice enough to give me a key to like a storage room they had, and like it had like just all kinds of stuff they use around here. So he trusted me enough to give me a key and let me put a barbell and plates and stuff in there. So I would get up at 5 a.m. to go lift with Frank, and we'd get on FaceTime, and we would lift, and I would coach him that way. And then just one day I was up here doing jumping jacks, and I was like, "Oh, the barbell strikes back. Maybe that'll be a cool name for the
yeah,
podcast. Like, what am I going to call it? McDermott Hour or
hmm,
whatever it is." So that's how the name came about. It's because of that poster, and I was stuck in here, and I was just staring at it for forever, doing
yeah.
however many jumping jacks, and then it just popped into my head.
Nice.
You ever have moments like that where like you're just like doing something kind of like monotonous and like an idea pops in your head? You're like, oh, that'd be cool. Or maybe I should do that. Does that happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, all the time with like random stuff. I mean, I have notes in my notes app that are just words that like sometimes you look back and you're like, oh, I see where I was going, and other times you're like, I have no clue
Yeah.
what that's even about. There's no context here. It doesn't even sound good. I probably thought it sounded good at the time. Yeah.
You just get in a creative flow. Like and the thing is like when it happens, like you hear the stories of like people who are like, all right, they're high or they were drinking or something like that. But like it's funny when you go back and look at notes like that and you're like, I was completely within my faculties. And
Hmm.
I was just like on a zone. I was on another planet. And then you read it, like you said, and you're like, this makes no sense at
Right.
all. Like this was not rational, James or Miguel. Like
Yeah.
I've 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 done that. I've on some trips, I've had like ideas pop into my head, and like I'll do the text to speech.
Mm.
So I'm like, all right, I can't write this down, but like first I gotta get these notes down, and I'll just be, all right, note to self, and like just plot it out, and then I'll read it later. I'm like, I'm not doing anything with this
Yeah.
at all. It's funny, and it kind of makes you think how many like movies, songs, books, things that we take in, or paintings, or other creative things like have come from that, and how many things could have been that we never saw just kind of fade away because the person who went back to it was like, yeah, I don't even know what I was thinking when I
Yeah.
wrote that down.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard stories of like some comedians waking up in the night and they're like, oh, I gotta like get a notepad by their bed, and then they do the same thing. They're like, I don't know, I was
Right.
hungover or I was drunk and I woke up and I wrote scribbles down and I have no idea what this was supposed to be. But it's funny how in your head it sounds so
Yeah.
amazing. And I mean that happens with programming all the time, you know.
Mm.
So some of my big ideas where I'm like, this is gonna be this is what's gonna get us to the next level. I can't wait to see this go down. They're gonna love it, all these things. And then you'll be in the middle of the workout and you'll be like, ah, all right, well, it got this far. Like it got this far that it got to everyone else, and now I
Yeah.
don't know if we'll continue to do this. You've been a part of many of these programming experiments. Have there been moments where you're like in the middle of a workout and like maybe I was even like telling you guys like, all right, this got this idea, this is gonna be great, and you're like, yeah, this isn't working right now, and we're all suffering in not the best way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely, yeah, there have been things that we tried that I'm like, this may not be the thing. Or like, I'm not exactly sure if what you think we should be feeling from this is what we're feeling from this. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think everything like with a barbell for the most part is like at the very least like okay.
Yeah.
I think it's more like warm up stuff or other things that we like are kind of like the realm to test things out, and we kind of just see how everyone feels. And yeah, it depends. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not even really paying attention, so this is
Yeah.
fine. And other times it's like, yeah, whatever you think we're feeling, I don't think anyone's feeling that right
Well,
now.
it was like on Friday where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick one of these standing oblique exercises. Let's just do the crunch one because that one feels hardest to me, and I can't touch my elbow to my knee.
Hmm.
And but then I look around the room, I'm like, how are all you guys doing this? I think this one's this one's hard for me, and I'm like, all right, this should be pretty good. Maybe this is the one I want to stick with. And then
Right.
I asked you guys, I'm like, do you guys feel this at all? And you're like, no, we're not. We're just kind of like just twisting for 30 seconds. So I'm like, all right, well, that was a failed experiment. Because the week before I had tried multiple standing
Yeah.
exercises just to feel them out. And I'm like, all right, I really need to stick with one. Because maybe, all right, maybe you don't feel set one, but then it just needs to,
Yeah.
you just need to give it a little bit more time. But that's, you have to have trial and error. Yeah, I mean, some of the books that I've written have talked about this. All the trial and error it took to find the program or to find the thing that coach was looking for, or even as an athlete, like in John North's book, he talks about all the trial and error, all the tweaking to the technique that he did to find out what worked for him. And sometimes it takes almost maybe the majority of your career, and then it just clicks for a little window, and then boom, and then you're done. It's just funny the way that works. Do you I don't know. I was thinking about this with like that in mind. I wonder how many people go about their like maybe we'll say athletic career, but we can do coaching career too, without trying things and without getting big ideas and having them fail and then having that to kind of work off of. Do you think there's a lot of people out there like that and they just kind of and it's like that's kind of why you're stuck, like you're fixed onto this one thing and you're not like wavering it left or right?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you look at things or like what you're given. I mean, yeah, this will open a door, but I kind of
Yeah,
feel
let's
like
open it.
it's kind of that way with like AI usage now, right? Where it's like everyone whoever uses it like uses it for different things per se, but like let's say you are a coach, like a newer online coach, and you're like, "Oh, I can just have it do the programming.
Oh
Here is what
gosh,
I want
I'm
these
offended
people to
already.
do." Right, but it's like without a doubt that is what people are doing now,
Yeah,
right? And there is no trial and error because you have someone just giving you something. And however you view AI, you might see it as like the end all be all, right? And you might be like, whatever they give me is that's the best option. So you just
yeah,
go, yeah, that's the program that I'm going to be sending out. And I mean, like, you're not, I feel like if you're already punching that info for like whatever clients you have into like Chat GPT or something, like you're already not too worried about like the feedback or like you're not looking in depth to see what this person needs. So you probably are just sticking with whatever you're given.
yeah.
Um,
That's gonna be hard. Like, oh boy, that's gonna be hard to grow long term. Like, I'm just
yeah,
thinking to myself back in like 2009, on there was no chat GPT. It was a textbook. You had to open up the textbook. All right, what are the principles of periodization? All right, this is the rep range for hypertrophy. This is the rep range for strength. I've never trained anybody for any of these things, sets, reps, all this stuff. There's a standard 3x10, if you want to gain muscle, all that stuff. And then writing programs. And I've never had anybody go through a program. So I've never even had the opportunity to see someone start, finish, testing. We didn't even really talk about testing too much back then. And like testing's a big thing now. But I feel like I wouldn't be able to do what I can now if I would have just been like, all right, let me just type it in here. All right, cool, whatnot.
Right.
And actually, I feel like for me, I would have burned out a long time ago and maybe moved on to something else if that was the case. If there was, like, for me, what drives me is learning and trying things and new experiences. And so if it was just always just type it in the thing and it calculates and whatnot, that sounds boring too.
Yeah.
And unfulfilling.
Yeah, I'm officiating a wedding in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And it's similar, right? Where, I mean, like, there are templates for like what a wedding script is. Like, you have to follow rules. Like, part of it is like legal, so you have to hit certain pieces, right? But so many people that I've talked to were like, yeah, you can just type everything into Chat GPT and they'll come up with the whole thing. And I'm like, well, then, like, why even have it be me if anybody else could just do it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Even if it's like personal, they're like, yeah, you can put in like how both of them into Chat GPT. They'll add all that stuff in. But like, part of me is like, I'm like a writer. Like, I've always been fairly good at writing and all of that as well. So why would I allow something to write something worse than I would write? Or even like, if it's better than I could write right now, wouldn't I then want to like build that skill? And, like, I don't know. There are different uses where maybe some people hate to revise. If I'm like writing an essay, like back in school, I'm not a fan of like multiple drafts and like revising and all that. But each time you do it, you gain more skill.
Yeah.
But if you aren't the one doing it, you're just giving it info and it has to like, because you can tell like voice wise, like there's a distinct voice that everybody has if you write and if you speak. But if it's not you doing it, then like you don't really develop what your voice is.
And like you just said, like I remember having like a little infographic thing when I was working on Glenn's book, that it was like, all right, it's like a thesaurus, like in like a little thing. I'm like, okay, here's the word vary, but here's other words you could use. And I was always conscious of like, am I saying the same thing all the time or the same words? Like, is that fun for the reader? Like, if you're using ChatGPT, you don't even have to think about that. So, and do I have a common thread through my wording? And it's like, okay, I could use this word instead of saying very, or this word instead of that. Or am I saying like, all right, these workouts are very hard and you want to try very hard. And so am I saying very hard often? Is there another way to say that? That's, not, that engages and captivates the reader. And then, like you just said, you might write something down. You're like, whoa, I can't believe that came out of here. Like that sentence, or even just having to sit down and think, how do I start this? I remember for John North's book, like we had the idea and everything, but it started off with a blank screen with the cursor blinking. And I'm like, I don't even know how, like what, like we need to get into this. We need to start. The story has to start. And then, I tied it back to kind of like we started with his drug use days. And then it kind of like, okay, I almost wanted to start it like almost like a podcast of his, because he's big into podcasting. And then that's how I kind of started off the lines, like I know Stephen King, had like his for the Dark Tower series, the man in black fled and the gunslinger followed, or something. It's like this one sentence that everything builds off of.
Yep.
But if you just type into ChatGPT, hey, write me a story about XYZ, and then it comes up with those stuff, it's just not fulfilling, you know. And for you, this is a big public speaking test, you know. There's pressure with it. Like, this is your friend's special day, so you got to be, you know, like, you don't want them to remember Miguel's involvement in this in not the best way.
Exactly.
He was up there fumbling his words, reading from the script. It didn't sound like it was from the heart or anything, you know. And I'm sure you have things that you could tie in there, almost like when you're writing, like little Easter eggs that you're like, all right, the casual viewer may not appreciate this, but this is for them, kind of a deal. Like, there's so much of that stuff in my books that I know if you follow John's story and you heard those podcasts and whatnot, you're going to be like, haha, all right, I see what you did there. And it's so much fun to write that stuff. Because I'm also the consumer. I also listen to the podcast and stuff. I know the story. So it's like fun to write it.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that, like, relating it all the way back, it's like it's fun to test things, to do the trial and error. Because then, like, when you hit it, like, you know that you hit it. And the mindset of like, okay, this didn't work. Maybe it just didn't work today. Maybe I can refine this a little bit and see how it works.
Yeah.
But when it hits, then you're like, nice. I thought about this and I hoped that it would go this way, and it either went that way or it went even better than I expected. And that's a great feeling. Yeah.
With your officiate, is this your first wedding you're officiating?
Yeah.
And now you have, like, I don't know, there's different licenses you can get, right? Or is it just the same? You're allowed to do this type of a deal?
There's like a few different ways that you could do it. Most of it is online and free. You can do, like, through your county that the wedding is being done in. You can do like a day of only type of deal. But mine is valid for probably like the rest of the year at least. But it's fairly simple depending on how you want to do it.
Did they ask you to do this? Is this something that you wanted to do, and you're like, let me get my license, and you just put it out there, and they're like, oh, officiate our wedding? Like, what led you down this path?
It's a coworker of mine, and we've been friends like through work for a few years. And like, I wasn't going to be in her bridal party. She does have a man in her bridal party, but now I figured, like, I wanted to be a part of it, but like in a way that's fitting for like Miguel, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like officiating in like the relationship that like I have with all of her friends and her family, like officiating was like the perfect fit.
Yeah.
That's and cool. Then it came, and then it's probably been like a year and a half, almost 2 years now since we came up with the idea. And then just becoming an official officiant, and then weddings coming up.
It's kind of like one of those things where, like, I don't know, you're in the break room and they're like, oh, Miguel, you should just officiate the wedding, and you're like, deal. it
was I believe it was her birthday, and we were talking about it because they had just gotten engaged, probably maybe like a month before or so. And then it was like, like, I might as well just officiate. And then like a pause, and then we're both like, I might as well. And
what so you've had some nice lead time to prep and everything, like to write down your thoughts. Right. When you're gonna do like a public speaking type thing like this, do you practice it in your apartment, in front of other people, in front of the mirror? How do you do that?
I'm fairly comfortable with public speaking. Like, growing up, like at my church, like it was very common. Like, especially for me, like I guess, like, out of all the kids, like, you do it enough where everyone's fairly comfortable, kind of like you have no choice anyway. But I clearly had some sort of affinity for it. comparatively, I guess you could say. So yeah, I've always been fairly comfortable. You get in and out of practice with it depending on how often you do it. Like starting to coach again was that was probably my longest stint of not doing public speaking because I was out of college even for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, not doing it as much, but it comes and it goes. It's the same thing. Like we have that muscle memory with working out where if I go away for a while, I can come back and it's quicker for me to get back into it.
Yeah.
It's similar with public speaking. I think every human has like a physical reaction to public speaking. I think that's just like a human thing of like you are more hot, like you,
Yeah.
especially in this type of instance. But overall, like I don't feel too nervous about the public speaking itself. For this time around, it would be more like this is a huge moment and I want to do it justice. Not
Yeah.
like I'm nervous to talk in front of people. I don't think I'm ever really too nervous about that unless I'm like talking about something I have no clue what I'm talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, I find it's the same way. I mean, with coaching so regularly, 5 days a week, or it might bleed into more than that. It's like you're working that muscle all the time. But if you go back to like college James, that's not possible. And also, we never had that practice before, and I hated public speaking class.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually funny, like I hated public speaking class. You had to get up there in front of the room and tell them about something, and then at one point we filmed like a presentation, and I wish I could find that film, so I could like get it digital type and put it out there and be like, before and after kind of a deal, because there's no way that James would have been on a podcast or anything.
Yeah.
So it's just cool to see like you can develop it. You just need, it's like anything. It's just like practice, get the reps in. And now it's to the point where like, you don't even have to think about it. You just like, oh yeah, I'm in the front of the, come on over here. You're
Right.
so comfortable in the moment, and you can like react to things. Someone has a question, you get back to what you were talking about. I think the last time I was nervous public speaking would have been not not nationals, like speaking on the mic or the Arnold or anything. Like it is like a little bit of like, ooh, there's a lot of people, whatnot. But like there's a lot of people on the internet too. So you kind of like that thing had kind of fallen away. I don't know if you felt that the first time you did one of these podcasts. On like, even though like in reality there's not that many people listening or watching it, but it feels like the entire internet is like now going to be listening to this, and you get a little self-conscious. Did you feel that the first time? Like way
definitely.
back?
I mean, I think even I had a coworker. This was way before, like a few years ago, when we were like, I would like guest on here every now and then, and a coworker was like, "Were you on a podcast recently?" Because I think he knew someone who was lifting at ABC, and they knew about our like barbell club. And for some reason, like they got to it and they like searched it up, and then one of our podcasts came up, and I think my episode came up. So it came up, and then he was like, yeah, so I was listening to it. And then more people in our office were like, oh, you're on a podcast? And like they went and everyone like listened to it that day. And that was different. Like, I think there's internet, and then there's like when you kind of close the circle of like, now I know the individuals who are watching this right now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of different. But
that's a cool, like, what is that, 6 degrees removed? What's that thing? Like on how this person knows this person.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool that like people who in your office aren't connected to CrossFit or weightlifting or anything, and how it can circle back to them by like one person who just happens to follow. Like it's just funny to bring that up. And then next thing you know, like your mom's like, "Are you on a podcast?" Like I got a text from my sister the other day. She's like, "I didn't know you had a podcast." And then also the next sentence was, "There's so much about you that I don't know." And she might be listening to this too. But yeah, it's a cool thing to think about. And I know like I think the last time I was actually like nervous to speak in front of a group was the level 4. And that wasn't so much the group. It's just like the test itself. And I remember practicing my whiteboard brief because I was like, I have to nail that. Like, if
Mhm.
I don't nail the whiteboard brief, how it just the way my brain works. It's like we have to like that has to be a real big high. It has to be awesome. I have to hit all my points. I have to be having fun now at the
Yep.
whiteboard brief to keep this going with a group of people I don't know. And I have to also get them right now. Like they have to be with me on that the fact that they're bought in already. And I'd already done some prep work before that. I'm like just, oh hey, how are you? Well, just getting to know them. But I remember on the drive over, I was like fumbling my words. I'm like, oh crap, and I forgot that thing. And one of my strategies for like preparing my voice to like speak and connecting like a thread of stuff is if like I'm tripping up or something, like I'll pray and out loud, and then I'll do like the thing I need to do because that's like a more natural thing,
Right.
and
Yep.
you kind of just let the words come to you on what you're like speaking to God and being thankful for and praying for and all those things. And it also like uplifts your mood a little bit because
Yeah.
you're not,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're going through a hard time, you're not gonna like
Right.
I'm never like, listen to me, like, like I'm sorry. But like I find, and so after I did that, then I nailed the whiteboard brief like on my drive. And then after that, like I just stopped thinking about it, and then the words just came to me, when I was doing it in front of the people. And also, I felt like more at ease on like then like oh hey, how are you? Blah, blah, how long have you been going to this gym? It's like so that's like one of my tricks. If I'm like I don't know if I'm ready for this, like not pray internally, pray out loud and project and things like that.
Mm.
And that's one of my tricks to help me speak publicly
Yeah.
when I'm not in Christ, like, when I'm just like I don't know about this, kind of a deal.
Yeah. Definitely.
Otherwise, I just kind of go, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
every day in the gym, it's just like, all right, I misspoke there, or that joke didn't land, or I made this more confusing than it had to be, or too many words. Like you just adjust that class to class type of deal.
yeah. Yeah. You can always go back to like where you're most, yeah, I guess you could say like where you're most comfortable or like where the base is at. Like, yeah, again, like I said, like my beginnings for public speaking were like church, like starting at like 4 years old. So I'm like, I already know how to, for me, like projection has always been fairly decent because I'm like, I already know half the mics don't work, or
Yeah.
like they're spotty. So you're like, you got to learn how to, even without the mic, people like interrupting you to tell you that the mic is barely working, all that stuff, like, or like being up high, like on like a pulpit or something. And, you know, yeah, once you're like, I've already done that, everything else is likely fine.
Yep. Or like people interrupting you, like
Yeah.
like our version of like a heckler would be like you're in the middle of talking and then someone's like, "How do we skip? I'm not there yet. Like I'm
Right.
going to.
Yeah.
Do you not think I'm going to not tell you?" Type of a thing. And then like I might even react like that. I'm so comfortable with
Right.
these people. Like give me a second, Leone. Like it's always Leone. Leone, if you're listening, we love you. But like you just, and then like you like bust their chops a little bit, and then you get right, like I'm right back to where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to restart. And oftentimes when I'm talking, I might even be like, I don't know if you do this, you're speaking to the group and like hitting all of what you want to say, but mentally you're already like we got to get those squat racks set up there, or all right, there's more people here than I thought, so the next thing I need to do is move them to start that, and then I need to go and do that.
Yeah.
Like do you find yourself doing that in coaching, or just in any other situation where you're so locked into like the speaking component of it that you can already be thinking 3 steps down the line?
Yeah, I think, especially because of the way that we structure everything, the whiteboard brief, it is so important, but we put so much thought into it as the base of everything that by the time we get to it, we're able to kind of almost leave it because we're like, I know that everything that I'm doing is branched off of this whiteboard brief, which means everything has already tied back, which means I'm so comfortable with this whiteboard brief that I can kind of just autopilot in the auditory way of like how I'm speaking it. because I know that I've got everything in there.
Yeah, it's another skill. Like it's like I don't know, would you say it's a multitasking skill?
Yeah, I think it's like a future projection. Like as you're talking about, all right, we're gonna squat today, or like we're gonna do toes to bar, and you're thinking of like, here's how I'm. As you're saying toes to bar, we're gonna work on this, and this is how many reps, and we can do a few different scaling options. And as I'm talking about the toes to bar, I'm like thinking, and I'm like, okay, I'll probably put them all in this corner over here, and I'm like visualizing it too, and I'm like, this is how we'll do the progression today. If they want, they can try this. I'll try this as a new one, but I'm like
Yeah.
still speaking about the specific of the workout on the board. But yeah, you're kind of
Yeah.
like in the future.
And it's like someone who's brand new, like let's take James McDermott out of college, like and teaching or helping in a class for the first time. It needs to be one thing at a time. Like, hold on, let me get through the whiteboard brief. And then now, all right, everybody, let's line up on this side, go get your ring set, blah, blah, and like you can only think on one step at a time.
Yeah.
But once you start to refine that like muscle in your brain that does all this, you can start to be like, ooh, I need to change this because if I don't right now, we are going to run over, or
Mm-hmm.
like this is going to be a problem, or I need to change my thing on the fly, like not that it was the best thing, but I changed my warm up literally right as I was doing the whiteboard brief at the level 4. I'm like, that's not going to work. Let's change
Yeah.
it right now and build it as we go, and it worked for a warm up. And when it got what I needed to do, I don't think that was like, I don't think if I spoke to the instructors, so like, yeah, that warm up's the reason you failed. It's like, that was
Yeah.
not the reason I failed. But I was like, crap, I need to make an adjustment right now because my warm up of hollow rocks and Superman rocks and stuff is going to be problematic because I'm not going to be able to see their name tags and I don't know their names yet. And I'm not going to be able to be like, hey, Miguel, put your feet together because he's face down and I don't know
Yeah.
his name. So I'm like, I have to change this whole thing right now, and I'm like, all right, everybody grab dumbbells because I was like, all right, let's bake in dumbbells for scaling for some of this. And like, at least I touched upon it. And then some,
Yeah.
actually, I don't think anyone kept them, but yeah, I would not have been able to do that very, very long ago. It would have been like, no, we have to stick to the plan as is, whether it's a sinking ship or not. We have to,
Yeah.
to do it. Or states, I had to wear so many hats for states. I'm coaching you, I'm coaching others, and in the back of my head is like medal ceremony. Put the weight. All right, after he takes this attempt, you need to go check on that over there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm really mad at that guy over there, and I'm coaching Miguel, and then I have to go and make sure that there's the medal sheets printed. All right, Miguel, I'll be right back. I have to find someone to read that sheet and give out the medals. Hey, you come over here. Like there's just like you have to think like 5 steps in advance and like be like check, 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 check.
Yeah.
It's a skill on its own, and I think coaching CrossFit classes helps you develop it. There's no other. I don't think if I was in any other profession would I be able to do this. But I think that like if I were to take it outside of CrossFit, it'd be like why are you like I'm not even trying to work harder than you people. This is just how I operate.
Yeah.
Like when like someone new comes into the office, it's like you're making us all look bad, and when like it's like this is just how we
Right.
do things. Like this is the environment I came from. Like we were forged from this. Why are you people so lazy or not able to adapt to multiple challenges or other things?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how the training that we do makes thing like life easier, but being the one that implements the training, and I think you're starting to maybe feel this now on coaching more. It like you're like, whoa, I could where like what could I not do? Like what like I could put me in any office, anything. Like, do you feel like that? Like, hey, if you put
Yeah.
Miguel in any office or thing, you're just gonna kill it, and part of your training and coaching background is gonna help you outperform so many people.
Yeah. I think that's also like tying it all the way back to like this new year and like these new skills that we've been doing, where it's really like everything that I've been doing is just building upon one another. All the skills are very easily transferable. Not all of them are one to one, but you can pull things from each one to help you with the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, same thing in work where I'm like, the way that I work out is the way that I work. where I'm like, here is the work that I'm giving, that I've been given. I'm at the very least going to front load it. Like if I have a set of 12 of something in a workout, I'm doing at least 7 reps before I break, because I want majority of it done before I take a break, so that I know when I get back there's less than I did previously.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that I do at work, where I try to take a later lunch if possible, and I try to get as much work done before that lunch break as possible. So when I get back, I'm like, my day's pretty much done. I've done most of the work already. And yeah, I think if I was to go into like personal training, and if it was one-on-one, that would be so much easier. I could just focus on one person moving at a time. That seems like, I don't even know.
Oh yeah. That you know, personal training, it's so much fun, and some people hate it, but then you can just really focus on someone, and now
Right.
it's like, wait, I don't have to worry about that person that came in late. I don't have to worry about, like, do we have enough boxes? I can just focus on you, and I can also give you a little extra as almost like a reward that
Yep.
you're the only person here. I'm talking like if only one person came to class,
Yeah. Yeah.
and of course you would do that if you're, let's say, someone hired you to be their client, or for them to be your client. It's like, okay, this is something we normally can't do because there's so many bodies in the room, and also because there's so many bodies in the room, that magnifies the time it takes to get everything. Like, one person grabbing a rower is significantly faster than 12 people grabbing rowers, and they're all like, where do we put the rower? I told you where to put the rower, man. There's already a rower down here as a demo. I don't
Yeah.
know why you're being difficult right now. So it's like, you can give them a unique experience, whether it's like, hey, you know what? At the games, when they did this workout, they progressed the barbell down the field. So we're going to progress it down the room just for
Yep.
funsies, because we have all this space, and then now all of a sudden, the room doesn't seem as big as that and empty when you do something like that for that one person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's like an important part of, if one person comes last, or even just 2 or 3, give them like a unique special experience, and as like a reward. And because you're so trained to do it, I guess we'll call it the more difficult way, you can make the quote easier way more difficult in complexity, but it's really not. You're just like killing it right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
versus being like, one person's here, I'm bored, they're bored, let's just kind of go through the motions. That's lame,
Mm-hmm.
and that might not inspire them to come back again later.
Yeah.
When they see that they're the only class, man, Miguel's classes are totally different if I'm the only one that comes in, versus like, wow, he really takes care of me and goes above and beyond, and we can spend extra time working on my muscle up instead of having to move on to something else.
Yeah.
Or like with Josh was the only person 2 Fridays ago who came to the 5:15, and he's like, all right, I'm not going to do class. I want to do Fight Gone Bad, and I was covering for Shop, so he's like, yeah, if I'm the only one, and Shop was coming, I was just going to cut him loose and be like, hey, you don't have to coach me, take the hour off. I'm going to do Fight Gone Bad. I'm like, well, I have nothing else. I mean, I have things to do, but I'm like, well, no, I'm here for you. So let me coach Josh through Fight Gone Bad. We didn't do it the way where it's like, all right, let me like spend 8 minutes coaching him through the sumo deadlift high pull with
Yeah.
the PVC. It's kind of like, let me make this more fun for Josh in a different way,
Yeah.
and like, hey, let's go through it. Like, all right, let's do this. How many reps are you going to do before you break? Things like that. What's your old score? And then I counted his reps, and we went through it, and we got a PR that way. But it's like, let's have fun with it in a non, I don't know. See, I don't want to say that, because class is fun, like,
Right. But it's a Josh tailored class, because it's
Yes.
Josh's class. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's Josh's class, or it's Maria's class. So whoever comes, and it's just the only one there. You have to switch mindset on like, oh, this is no longer the 5:15. This is Maria's class.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we do that's 100% Maria, and also do this workout?
Yeah.
And hey, if I'm doing a one-on-one class, let's say if Miguel shows up to class on a Tuesday at 5:15, and you're like, I don't want to do shuttle runs and box jumps. What do you want to do? Oh, you wanted to. Now it's like the hopper. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you want to do the filthy 50? You want to do Elizabeth? You want to do Nancy? And you're like, yeah, I'd rather do that. I think it's 100% to be like, throw that away. Who cares? And then all of a sudden, let's change it. Hey, let me write it on the board, or we know what the workout is. Let's do this thing. I think that's 100% okay.
Yeah.
Now, if two people show up, all right, we're on the we're on the schedule now. We're on all right now shuttle runs and box jumps. This is class now. It's no longer Miguel's class.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's totally fine. But yeah, it's all one thing in the end. It's just, how do you live your lifestyle? You don't want to put things into ChatGPT and have it write me a barbell program for the next 6 weeks, and then you just put it all in there, and then now, great, you saved all that time, but you learned nothing, and it might still work. Or I know, like, the equivalent to ChatGPT with programming stuff would be just, you get a template spreadsheet and type in all your athletes' numbers, and then it calculates it for you.
Yeah.
Glenn talks about that in his book on people using cookie cutter spreadsheet programs that come from Russia or something like that, or that's what it's all based off of. And then his problem was that is like, well, the program is based off of those athletes in that environment, and the data you might be getting is the average of the average lifter. And like, so how do you know it's going to work for Americans over here working full-time jobs without extra supplements and without government assistance and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know if you could trust it. You could do it, and it will work with thing. With beginners, everything works. It'll work. Just come in and do it. But after a while, it's going to stop working. And if you didn't cut your teeth, right? Is that the saying? Cut your teeth?
I'd have to hear the rest of the sentence.
If you didn't cut your teeth with all the experience and changes that you need to do on figuring out what works, what doesn't work with your athletes, does that work in a sense?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Then you're not going to be like, well, all right, 5s isn't appropriate for this person. They actually need 10s. They need more volume. Mm-hmm. Or, all right, we should be doing more back squats. Or, all right, this athlete actually needs pulls instead of this or that. You're never going to know when a time comes that you have to make that change. Because now what are you going to do? You're going to find the intermediate spreadsheet or the advanced spreadsheet that doesn't exist, because the coaches that had the original spreadsheet, they now, all right, maybe you started off cookie cutter, but then it started to become Miguel's spreadsheet because he's your athlete, and then Schaaf's spreadsheet as you learn more about them. You can't type into ChatGPT, make me a program for Miguel Porter. Mm-hmm. Here are all his lifts, because it doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't know your knees hurt. It doesn't know how that you might change your technique given on the day. It doesn't know any of these things. It also doesn't know what you went through in your life and stuff like that. So you have to be able to adapt it. Great example, Haley. All right, we had to change things up. All right, let's do 3s on the back squat until we can't. Now switch to singles. It's fine. You're still getting the weight on your back. All right, we're not going to do a full clean today. Let's do power cleans, and also, we don't have you power cleaned this heavy before? Well, let's find out, and now it's like a new challenge, a different challenge. Is she still training? Yes. When we get to the end of the training cycle, is the fact that one day or a couple days we didn't do doubles when everybody else was at the given weight, that she's not going to have progress on the tail end? I don't think so. I think she'll be fine, right? Yeah. Because she still came in and picked up the barbell. What would be worse is if we stayed home, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, how you? I don't know. Is this all a grand way of us saying how you do one thing is how you do everything? Kind of deal.
Yeah, that's what I. It's funny. I was thinking of like, who was the first person to say that? Because
let's ask ChatGPT. No, I'm kidding.
It's funny because it's like you really just attribute it sometimes, I guess, to the person that you heard it from. Like, I have a friend who recently told me, it's one of my friend's girlfriends. She was like, yeah, like about a year ago, I was talking about my roommate at the time, and I was saying like, yeah, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And she was like, I've been repeating that for like the past year now, And I've just been telling everyone that you said it. And I was like, I mean, like, yeah, I did say it, but I'm not the one like who said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's such like a training mindset as well to have that of like, oh yeah, how I pick up the bar to get set for this thing is exactly how I'm going to pick it up all these other times, and how I get set each time, even on the reps that don't matter, is still going to reflect in that way. And yeah, just using that all the way across.
I know in like CrossFit circles, and I think the first person I think I heard the how you do one thing is how you do everything. It was either from early days at Albany CrossFit, or it might have been a Penlay thing. But there's like plenty of things that like I've heard other people say, "Oh yeah, I just attribute that to Glenn because that was the first person I heard it
Mm-hmm.
from," and he would say it all the time. Or like with CrossFit things, like in an affiliate, it's kind of like, "All right, you're." See, now I'm forgetting it. It's either it's how you're either coaching it or you're allowing it to happen.
Mm.
Like if you're either coaching, letting go of the handle on the rower, and you're like, hey, you just got to get rid of that handle and get off of there, and you're saying that's okay, or you're just allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
And the allowing it to happen part is that you don't like it to be happening, and you don't want it to be going this way, but you're not saying anything. It's kind of like if you owned a gym, people don't put their stuff away. If you don't tell them put their stuff away, you're allowing it to be the culture and the way it is.
Right.
So like, there's so many great sayings that come out of like fitness and stuff that you can apply to your life. And I know my first time reading through the Bible, I would see so many little things, and I'm like, oh, this is where it came from.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so there's the iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the proverbs. And but before I'd ever read the Bible, I'd only ever seen that in like powerlifting and strongman and bodybuilding and stuff. Iron sharpens iron, so you got to use the iron so it sharpens you. Blah blah. And like I don't even know if half the people that say that know that it comes from the Bible.
Right.
And it's kind of funny how like some of those people that say that they're probably like against it, but it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of saying it every single day. Like that's
Yeah.
always a funny thing to now that like where things come from, and it's important to know where things come from. Why do you teach the down and up, the high pull, like all this like well
Right. Yeah.
it's the Bergner warm up. And okay, did you look into like who that is? He was a man. He is a man. He was a coach. He developed it to train 50 kids at a time with sticks because they didn't have 50 barbells, and he had to have this high school all doing the same thing. So he whittled down the mechanics of what he needed them to do because he can't coach everyone individually.
Yeah.
He used to stand at the front of the room and look around and be like, Miguel, pull your elbows up higher. And then you do it, and you have a PVC pipe. And it doesn't matter if you're a little off because you're not going to get hurt with a PVC pipe. And then you start doing the weight stuff. So it's like, it's important to know where things came from. And then you can build off of them that way too.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta do your research. I titled the name of this show "No Excuses," and we're kind of on like it fits into where we've gone with this conversation. I think very well. Yeah, like you mentioned, we've been just kind of building upon this thing all year of like what's important to you. What are you gonna do to keep what's important to you alive and prioritize it, to make yourself better, to make other people better, to keep growing, whether it be, a little thing, in the eyes of others, or something that's bigger that you're really, really working towards too. And yesterday I volunteered at Joe Rodriguez's meet, the Hudson Valley Regional Open, which meant I had to get up at 5 a.m. to be on the road by 6 a.m. to be there well before, or be there at 8 a.m., but hopefully before 8:30 a.m. because I have to be on the microphone at 8:30 a.m. announcing the first session, which means I have to at least have the paper in my hand by 8:28 to line up the first session and then get them going. So like there's a time frame thing. But also, Miguel, if I'm up at 5 a.m., on the road at 6, working at 8, and getting done working at 8 p.m., then I have to drive back home. When do I get my 7,000 steps in? When do I get my core 365 workout in. When? And
Yep.
also is that it's an easy day to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the day off. I'll just miss today and whatnot. But no, it's important to me. So, and I mean, I lucked out with the programming, like that. It was 5 rounds of 10 to 15 side bends, standing side
Mm.
bends. So like I got up out of bed, started bending. All
Yeah.
right, set 1 done. Let me go pack my bag. Set 2 in the living room. Let me go hop in the shower. Get out. Set 3. Get dressed. Set 4. And then I got everything together. I made my coffee. I went down and I was about to get in the car. And I'm like, shit, set 5. Right in my garage. The door's open. I don't care who's walking by. If you would have walked by my garage, you would have saw my back doing this. And you were like, my coffee on the top. You're like, what is doing that? And I'm like, I'm doing what you said. I'm front loading it right now.
Yep.
And I'm going to check that box off. I opened up the app, completed workout. I took a screenshot of it because I like to score or keep the workouts in a spreadsheet. That way I can reference them again later. And if I forget to do that, the next day it's gone. I can't go back in the app. So like I made sure I got boom, boom. And I'm doing this for me. Like it doesn't, I'm on time and it doesn't matter if I get to the gym at 8:01 or 8:58. I'm going to get there at 8:01 because I wanted to check complete workout, get the screenshot. I'll put it in spreadsheet later on, but at least I have it. That way there's no thing at the end of the day where I'm like, oh no, I forgot. Oh, that sucks. Shoot, It's like, no, it's done. And I don't have to worry about it now. Am I glad they weren't like do 150 V-ups? Yes, I'm very, very glad. Because I mean, I would have went down to the floor and started V-ing, but like I got lucky with the programming. But it's important to me, And then with the steps, all right, let me go put stuff in my car. I left there and I had 3,000 steps. And then we got back home and I was eating dinner, walking around my apartment to get the steps in because I'm so tired and I just want to go to bed. But but these feet, they got to move, Miguel. They got to move because I don't want to wake up tomorrow. I know if I if I just went to bed, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to be so mad at myself and I'm going to look myself in the mirror like, James, you couldn't spend another 10, everything you did today, you couldn't spend another 10 minutes just walking around this apartment to get another 1,000 steps. Like literally I had like 1,000 steps left and I'm like, I'm so tired, but this is like literally quitting at the finish line. And then I would have been so furious today. And remember, I haven't missed a day all year. I'm like, you're going to throw it away on this? Like at least throw it away when like, all right, you're stuck in traffic and it's so bad you have to sleep in your car, which actually I'd get out of my car. You're stuck on a plane, and whatever it is, you're in the hospital, I'm like, nurses, get me out of bed, move my legs, let it die when there's no chance at all you could have done anything. So I got all of my non-negotiable, like it's such a non-negotiable. Remember, you have to have non-negotiables. That it doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter what time it was. But like 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. we're working on these two things. And it would have been so easy to be like, it's a long day. But all right, is it a long day? I'm sitting for 2 hours judging lifts, hitting a button, or I'm on the microphone. Like this is not the hardest work. Like you did not have to strain strenuously for any of this stuff. Now, if I was loading all day, oh, that's a hard. Like Haley was killing it yesterday. Oh, it was so good. Like I saw her at one point. Like she already knows the next weight that's going on the bar, not just the automatic increase, but I could see. We'll have to talk to Haley about this, but like I could see that she's like, oh, they're gonna go 82 or whatever, right? But the other loader doesn't know that, and she already at one point had the 2 1 kilo greens in her hands. So she had both of them because she's ready to run out there to put them on. And the other guy starts to stand up, and I saw her do this. She's like, put her head up like, I think she told him to sit down. I can't remember. Like, and I was like, that's so funny. Like, I was like, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Yeah. But she's like, I got it. Like, don't worry about it. You sit down. You just stay there. We'll have to get confirmation on that. That's what I saw and what I thought was happening. And I'm like, that's so funny. And like she totally had control over the platform. And it's like just like the other, like you just do what I'm doing over here, and make sure you keep up. because they were loading fast. Sometimes that's a problem at meets. The loading was tight yesterday, and it needed to be 22
Yeah.
people sessions. And we got the snatch portion done for one of them in an hour and 15 for 22 people. That's like one, not like they were going, not too many 2-minute clocks, but the loading was on point too. They were moving fast, you know. That was one of those deals where like Haley already has the blue plate because she knows the change is coming, the 20-kilo plate. Whereas a lot of loaders are sitting there and they're like, all right, like they're all that delay when they're just sitting there and not ready to go. That time adds up, you know. Multiply it by 66 attempts, whatever that time is. That's a lot. So yeah, that's where we're at with things. That's the mindset you have to have. No excuses. And I got some great examples of no excuses. Schaff, you know, he's had to miss a couple of days of training in person. He's going to Vent Fitness or ABC, not the next day. At like he's starting at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, whatever it is, after we've already all done. So that's hard. The training we're doing, part of what we're able to do to get through it is the fact that there's other people in the room also missing a lift or screaming on front squats and back squats and getting it done. Schaff now has to do it in a gym with not like-minded people, with shoddy equipment, with a barbell that doesn't spin, it's slippery, and he's not on a platform, and he has to get it done. And he did. And then he texts me his numbers after the fact, his ratings, his focus, his intentions, so I can put it down on the card. Because remember, we had those meetings at the beginning of the cycle on like, all right, here's your score, here's all this stuff. And he wants to make sure he gets that in. That's so hard. That's so hard. No excuse.
Yeah, I mean, even yesterday, I met with the couple for the wedding, and we were all talking about, oh yeah, like these next couple of weeks, I'm going to have to, which day am I going to the gym? It wasn't even like I'm going to have to miss days. It was like, which day am I going to choose? And like, what time am I going to make it up? Because I'm like, okay, so we have the rehearsal on Thursday night, weddings Friday night. Okay, so I have to make sure I probably won't want to wait until Saturday to make up Friday, but I don't know if I want to go straight into Wednesday night and then train again Thursday morning. And then I was like, but do I want to risk doing it Friday morning before the wedding that evening? And I'm like, and to them, they're like, well, like you could probably just miss that day. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. But I'm like, but of those 3 days, I have to see which one is the best suited for like best performance in the gym and best performance at this wedding as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to like, if I go Thursday, I don't want to be too beat up from Wednesday. And if I go Friday, I want it spaced out enough from the wedding so like I'm not aching. And then Saturday morning is like I was just at a wedding all night. Yeah. And then probably drinking and all of this. So it's like I need to make sure that everything is done in a good way. And yet now it is at the point of like, I'm not just going to miss it. If it's one of like our 3 main days, I'm not missing it. There's no shot.
Yeah.
So which of these different times am I going to use to do it?
And no doubt, when you make it up, when you're performing at the wedding, you know, speaking and doing all those things, I feel like that's going to help. Like I know when there have been times where like an event's coming up and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do anything all week. And then I don't, you know, you don't feel as good at the event.
Yeah.
You know, like imagine like, oh, not only did I get everything for the event done, but I got what I needed to get done. I hit my meals. I did this. I went to the gym. I got my lifts in. Now I'm here staring at everyone getting their lifts in at the meet. And I had to sacrifice my lifts, you know? And it's like, some people will do that because it's not good to have like a martyr complex on like, I'll just sacrifice myself for everybody else. No one knows you did that. And no one cares. And they don't expect you to do that. And then next thing you know, all right, well, I'm tired from the event. I won't work out again next week. And next thing you know, you're overweight and you're not happy and whatnot. And you're like, but I did it for everybody else. No one cares. They
Yeah.
literally don't. You could ask 100 out of 100 people at that event. They're like, "Why'd you do that?" No, you shouldn't do that. Like,
Right. Exactly.
and you're, but I did it for you. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Like, this is your own crazy thing. You are crazy.
Hmm.
You are crazy. You sacrificed your goals because sacrificing your goals for other people makes you feel good.
Yep.
That's why you did it. You're giving yourself a pat on the back and a cookie and probably the whole sleeve of cookies. and 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 you did that because you liked the idea of, look what I did for other people.
Yep.
And but no one is going to be like, I'd like to thank Miguel for sacrificing his health and fitness to make this wedding so good. No one is going to do that. You're not going to get an award, or at the end of the year. Like, that's not going to happen. If
Yeah.
anything, what's going to happen? They're like, at a certain point, they're like, Miguel doesn't look too good, that's the product of the sacrificing type of thing. And you can fall into that with coaching because you just get into a zone of just like, stuff has to get done.
Yeah.
Yet, if you look at the most successful people, they feed themselves first, and it's not being selfish. It's just like, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. And it might come down to the point of like, all right, great, you didn't take care of yourself enough that eventually you just died early, and now you really can't take care of anybody else. You
Yeah.
know, how about if you lived an extra 10 years? Then you, in this realm of service, you could help more athletes that way because you decided to eat cleaner or exercise or whatever it is, you right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people in this space, myself included, have fallen into this thing. I never did it for the sense of like, I'm I'm doing it solely for at the gym or anything. I was doing it purely out of obsession of getting the task done. Of like, no, 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 like the room has to be set, blah blah, blah all this stuff. But and there, of course, there is always a little thread of like, well, I want to make sure everybody has a good time, type of a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that anymore. How many years can you do that?
Hmm.
Last year, when I look at the photos of myself from the state championships last year, I'm like, wow, I look so fat. Because I did great all year until like August. And then the prep went so hard that I started eating poorly. I stopped exercising, all that stuff. And then when we got to the big event, I wasn't happy with how I felt or looked.
Right.
Was it worth
Yeah.
it? No. Would the event have still been a great success had I just taken a little bit of time for me? Yeah, it would have.
I think that's a big piece of it too. Is just like you don't even feel like yourself. Like you
Yeah.
spend so much time creating these habits and doing these things, and you feel like something is missing if you're missing it. Like that it's there in the back of your mind. You're like, man, I mean, like the literal benefits of like exercise, of like your energy levels and all that, but it's also just so much your routine and a part of you that you feel like you've missed something if you don't get to do that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do the thing, it starts to rub off on the right people you want it to rub off, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's people know I'm going for my steps now. So like I'll have people at the gym ask me about it, and then I'm hoping that them seeing the dedication I'm putting into something motivates them to do the same with whatever their thing is.
Yeah.
So like now you're, if you sacrifice, I guess we want to use for the word sacrifice, if you sacrifice time on something else to do what you need to do, now you'll still benefit the people that you wanted to help in the first place by skipping it to spend more time setting up cones or whatever it might be for the same people. You're actually
Right.
helping them in a better way. You're leading by example in a much more space appropriate way.
Yeah.
No one cares if the rowers were all set up, but what they do care is that you're doing what they're doing or something
Hmm.
like it. So yeah, there's really no excuses for it. You can find time in the day, And also at the end of the day, there are people, living way harder lives that the same 24 hours is vastly different. There's what 6 billion people on the planet, and all of us are experiencing the same 24 hours in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Right now you and I are experiencing this hour the same way, kind of, because we're in this conversation on the podcast, on the internet, all that stuff. But once this shuts off, we're gonna finish the rest of the day completely different. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna go off and you might wash your dishes. I'm gonna go turn on my dishwasher. Like we're gonna experience it different ways. So like, you literally, if you have the freedom to choose, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like I had to choose yesterday. Shaf has to choose every now and then when work is busy. Jennifer chose on Friday. Jennifer has possibly the best attendance record in the barbell club. Jennifer rarely misses. We can count the days. Like, oh, you missed 3 days last year. But Jennifer wasn't going to be able to come in on Friday because she had to work from 2 to 10 at the hospital. And then all the schooling and stuff, like the intense schooling is crazy. And we know Jennifer actually studies, like me, I might not study, but like we know Jennifer studies, and it's in the book and stuff. And also Jennifer is in a field where like you should, like you have to, if you hope to pass or to have a good placement or whatever. Like, Jennifer's not just doing her medical schooling to just get by and get the degree. Jennifer, I feel, is going through this medical thing to be at top of class and stuff like that. And like, we won't be surprised when it's like, oh yeah, you were the best person out of like your cohort of 50 or 30, however many people are in the program. Like, Jennifer's going for top spot on the podium, but still came in on Friday before that shift, probably after a very busy day, to get her training done in.
Yeah.
And then after the back squats, we just had, just heavier back squat than Monday. It's like, you know what? Let me see if I can go for a 3 rep max PR. I think her working weight was 100 kilos. The old 3 rep max was 102. Let's put on 105 just for one more set number 8, and got a PR, and then finished a snatch workout, and then went to work till 10 p.m. and then probably went home and I imagine studied more or something like that, But Jennifer chose to get it all done because it's important to Jennifer, right? And instead of like just being like, all right, I'm just gonna watch a Netflix show and then go do my shift and whatnot. Like, oh, let me get out there. I'm out in the day. So it's like it's cool to see everyone, for the most part, in the club doing these things.
Yeah.
And it's how we got to be. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And right now, we're doing everything how we do this one thing.
Yeah.
It's trickling out. I would hope that when people in the club hear the stories of like, no, Shaf's doing this after. I'm taking the picture of his card right now. He's doing it after. Or when you hear that Jennifer came in early and PR'd, like, does that motivate? Like, do you think that drives the rest of the club? Like, all right, we gotta, like we're here. We gotta push hard, that kind of thing, or sets a standard for the next time. We're like, I'm not gonna be able to get in. Well, let me ask James for the programming. I'll come in tomorrow.
Right. I think it is like a setting the standard thing. I think our attendance as a whole is greatly impacted by everybody else there. Like, I was talking to a friend this past week, and she was asking me like how I stay so motivated, and like she wants a routine and like, but she can't stick to it all the time. And I'm like, I give it so much of it to the fact that I'm on a team.
Yeah.
Like, really, like in high school, you're on a team. You can't really miss days. One, it's like practices after school, but like having a similar structure and being like, well, my teammates are there. It's an individual sport, but I have teammates. And if they're there, why wouldn't I be there? We've been doing this for years now. This is my team and this is what we do. It's the same time for these past few years. So that's kind of it. And it's the same way now where it's like, okay, the new standard is that we're not, even if we miss a training session, like at that specific time, we're not going to miss the day. too often.
Yeah.
Like there's vacation and, resting the body, of course, like not including those, but overall, like if it's just like, oh yeah, busy day, couldn't make it, I was out of town, blah blah blah. Okay, now the new standard might just be, yeah, most people choose to make it up though. And
And even when you guys travel for vacations to other countries,
yeah,
like Jennifer at the beginning of the year made up, I think 2 out of 3 was able to get to a gym in England and do the beginning of the year workouts. I've sent Shaf his workouts when he was in Korea.
yep,
No one would bat an eye or think anything negative about if they were just on vacation. You're in Korea. You paid for the trip, the
mhm,
flights, the hotel, all that stuff. Go see the country. Don't worry about doing the barbell workout. But Shaf still went and did it. And same with Jennifer. And then got us awesome English candy and brought it
yeah,
back for the bid. So it's like, you know, it's just how you guys are wired now. And it's awesome. I imagine how hard this would all be if you got your workouts through email or whatnot, and we met once in a while, but all you guys were just coming in at different times training solo. I don't know. Would you even do it anymore?
probably not. Honestly, there's a good chance that I would just go back to CrossFit, and if like timing didn't work out, I would like figure something out. But yeah, I think we would probably band together in some way, like figure out who has like a similar ish schedule and be like,
Yeah,
all right, we should try to get in at this time. But again, it's like so many people have like gym partners that they're like, all right, we should try to get there for this time. And then people show up late and then last minute, just like, actually, I don't know if I'm feeling it right now. And yeah, what we have
yeah.
is definitely the best option.
And we follow a group program,
Yeah.
like it would change even more. Like it would be a different dynamic if, let's say, you all came in and you all had completely different programs. All right, Jennifer's doing push presses, you're doing front squats, Haley's going doing snatches off the blocks. This person's not even doing lifts; they're doing dumbbell accessories, whatever it might be. That'd be a little weird, you know. It's it's different when we're all like cohesively on the same thing, experiencing the same thing, and pushing really, really hard. And
Yep.
we still, I mean, there's a lot of arguments against group programming for some reason, um, but we keep making a lot of success with it. We keep having a lot of success. That doesn't mean if like we had like a 100% Miguel Porter tailored program that it wouldn't lead you to more success and not be successful. But also, it's like, how much different would that actually look from the main program? And does any individualized program not come off of a general template to some
Yeah.
extent? So it's like, well, he still needs to snatch and clean, jerk, and squat. So why can't the people around you also do
Yeah.
that? I
And
don't
like,
know.
would I want that?
Yeah,
Like, even if it got to a point where it's like, yeah, we're tailoring it, like that would, the rate of burnout would be so much higher because you're like, yeah, I know my thing is to make me specifically progress faster, but like now I'm looking around and everybody in the room is doing the same thing except for me.
yeah.
And that's a different feeling too, where you're like, well, this is less fun.
Some people want. I think some people receive it and they don't need it yet. Like they're at like their level,
Right.
and but they also might want it because like again, it makes you feel special. It makes you feel different. Like you're getting this. You sign up for some program, you get this individualized thing that really was like it was copy pasted, changed a little. Like come on now, we know how it works. We know how. No one's sitting down with the paper and be like, all right, he's 5 foot this, he weighs this, he's been doing this for this amount of years. This number of reps is scientifically no way.
Yep.
No way. You know how busy everybody is? No way. But I can make it look like I did that. And Miguel, that'll be $3.99 a month.
Mhm.
Here's the Venmo, here's the bill, whatever it is. Like it's. I don't think it's happening. It is happening the highest levels. Like okay,
Yeah.
you're qualifying for international meets. We're trying to taper based off of like a quad, like a thing to lead you. Like, of course, yes, 100%. We need to tailor some things. Like, okay, you may be. That's when all those special exercises really come into play. Like, you really need this, and we'll develop this because we're hoping that gives you an edge and gives you 1 more kilo. Like, we're really squeezing out the towel for every little piece of juice now. But it's almost like for 99.9% of like all the peeps that we mix it up with, it's like, I don't know if you need that.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, you need to be, if anything, the environment helps you the most. Like, the work is the work, and also what you're willing to put into the work. Because like, I could still give you your individualized programming, but you got to work hard on that. Or you could be on the group program and have to fight through these squats with everyone else. And you might look across the room, or you might be doing your squats and hear Alex behind you screaming. Like, I don't know if like when you hear that, if you're like, yeah, I'm definitely holding on now. Like does that affect you at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know what everyone else is feeling, or at least like have an idea of like, ooh, this is tough. And then hearing somebody else and going, okay, it's not just tough for them. It's tough for all of us. And that's,
Yeah. And or you look across and you see someone miss a lift, but then you see them bounce back, get it, like, and then you go to get on your bar, like, that affects you, you know, or you see them miss and you got to get on your bar, you need to overcome that too, because like, you don't want a little miss virus going. Every now and then we get a little virus floating around the room, you know, but now we all have to overcome it, and then it's like, all right, Jennifer, the team's on your back. We need a make right now. Like, the team needs a make. And then bam, Jennifer like gets under there and fights for it, walks it around, saves it. Jennifer's the master of saving lifts. Like, how many crazy lifts have we seen Jennifer's like save that other people would have given up on way before even pulling under the bar?
Man, a lot.
Yes. The save artist. But then like when you go to get back, all right, now the team's back on track. I gotta make this too. And it's funny how often we'll have like a little miss virus float around the team, and then someone gets us back on track, and then we are back on track. Isn't it crazy? Like, that, all right, then people start hitting lifts again. There was a lift that happened yesterday at the regional. They have a garage door in front of the platform. So it got sunny at a certain point, and it was like in your eyes. So they wanted to close it halfway down. They unfortunately hit the button as a guy was about to go for one of his lifts. So you could like hear it, and then it would start to lower down. What do you think? Did he make it or miss it?
I would assume a miss. Yeah.
He missed it. And then he was vocal to his coach on like bring the door down or whatever. Like, there was some grumbles and whatnot. And I don't think he came back and made the next lift. You got to overcome that.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like that's, I mean, like, nothing against this person. I don't know where I'm not naming names. I don't know what their level is, all these things. I just know for me, I don't know if I would have even noticed that, back when I was like lifting, or even now, I don't even know. I would just try to tune it out. Like, the only thing I'm worried about is what I need to do to get this bar moving, and full commitment to the lift. I don't care if a bird flies by. I don't care if someone sneezes. There's a baby crying. You just got to overcome all that. And I think you can almost train for that, on like being able to tune it out when there's distractions in the room or stuff. But like, do you think that would have affected you, or are you able to just tune that stuff out?
I don't know if I could say for sure, but I mean, that's also like what we talk about, I talk about, like, sometimes I am like, I'm fine with you walking in front of, like, there's the etiquette, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you happen to walk in front of me as I'm lifting, that's fine, because I know that that's going to happen eventually. And if I can't handle that, then like, so when I go out in a competition, that's just an automatic miss for me. Or like, yeah, literally being heckled in the middle of like a set or something. Like, I need to be able to push through that. Or like, I hear something weird, like like I kind of time my lifts. We talked about it with like the 30-second ding kind of going off.
Yeah.
So I don't have to deal with that. But like I need to be fine with it either way. Like I can avoid it, so I know that I'll just avoid it. But if I can't, I also need to be fine with that. And I mean, I think also I've seen in like international stages too, where like the virus goes around and you see like the attempts start to get heavier, and every person for like 6 lifts in a row like misses their second attempt. And you're like, oh, because some of you probably only train by yourselves. And that's why a lot of like people miss. It was very popular, I think, like 2 years ago, but a lot of competitors were like putting in different openers or totals so that they could get put in a B session, so then they could just follow themselves. Or like if you're so good that you're just following yourself at the end of an A session, but like what if you're in the mix now? You know how to time it with yourself, and maybe 2-minute clocks aren't an issue for you. But now what do you do if you were expecting just 2 minutes and it turns into 8 minutes because everybody else is missing? And what do you do now when you see everybody else missing and you're like, oh, am I going to be able to hit this? Like you need to be able
sitting
to
there thinking about it, watching the competition. Why are you watching the competition? Who cares what those guys are doing? I'm better than them. I don't need to watch them, you know? Like so many of those guys, they're probably the big dog in their gym too.
Yep.
So like they get a lot of praise, and those situations don't happen. And maybe it doesn't happen because like if they are training in a little group, their lift takes priority over their teammates.
Yeah.
So they're never going to have to wait. Like, oh, I got to wait for this beginner over here to do their lift. But no, they're just going to stand up and go and do their lift, type of a deal.
Yeah.
And you know, you joked or you made a comment on one of your front squats. I think I yelled during one of your front squats or something last week, and you missed it. And you're like, I don't know if that was me or you. And I'm like, it's literally impossible for it to ever be me. You know, like my voice should just be omnipresent and accepted in the room at all times. I have authority to speak at any like whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to either hear it or tune it out, you know, because like the bar is not on my shoulders. So I'm not responsible for keeping my core tight, you know. And it's like, I don't know. I think you were joking, right?
Yeah. No, I what did I say? I said, I'm not saying that was your fault. And I just let it trail off. But yeah, I think that's also a thing of like, sometimes you're looking for an excuse to miss something or like to fail. And you just need any sort of external stimuli to be like, yeah, no, I'm giving up on this. And yeah, that's why I feel like you need that as much as possible to just get ready. Because it's like it is you versus you all the time. But if you're looking for an excuse, you're going to find one no matter what.
And then you become really good at finding excuses.
Yeah.
Even when you reach like a high level that like, or it ruffles your feathers, or you start to carry yourself in a way that like other people are like, we don't really like that guy, you know, like you don't want to become that person. There's a story I heard a long time ago about like there's a big name super heavyweight Russian lifter or Bulgarian, one of those European countries, and he was going for a big lift, and some lightweight woman lifter walked in front of him while he was doing his lift. He finished the lift, made it, and then went and kicked her in the chest. So this is like, she might have been like I don't know, like a 64 or 15, a lightweight class female lifter. And this is the super heavyweight dude in the gym, clean and jerking over 200 kilos, came and like kicked her in the chest and just like booted her, because it's perceived as disrespectful to walk in front of someone when you lift, and she absentmindedly did it. But it's like, boy, like your life must suck. Like, even though you can lift those weights, does anyone like you now that you're done and you're no longer attached to the government fund? Like, does anyone care anymore? And now the decades will go by and people will forget your name. Like how so many newer lifters these days aren't like history buffs, and they don't go back and like, oh yeah, Klokov and this guy and that guy, and you know what they did. You know vaguely that stuff. A lot of people
Yeah.
these days, but it's like, was that even worth it? Was that even necessary? Like, even if that guy carries himself in that way, he could. He has multiple options, right? He could let it go. He could go to his coach, talk to her, like, right? Like, it's like if she's beneath him, he's not going to speak to other lifters and that. Or he could go over there and be like, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't walk in front of, like I could be distracted, I could hurt myself, and that's probably why he's upset with it, because like, all right, don't distract me, type of a deal. But also, he wasn't able to overcome it. Even at being at that high of a level, lifting those weights, he wasn't able to just let it roll off his back and overcome
Right.
it, because he was disrespected. Like, I think that's why he did it, not because of like the it's like the etiquette, like culture, or like he could have hurt himself. I think he was like, she doesn't respect me enough to watch my lift, and she
Yeah.
walked in front of me, so I'm gonna hurt her now. Holy cow! Actually, I mean, you probably get to that point because your entire career since being 12 or whatever, everyone's just been loving on you the whole time, and you're no longer one of the common folk. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
how do you get to that level? Could have killed her, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's insane. I don't even, yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine that? And I've seen it here and there at like the local level of people being upset about that things. I really try. I might step over like 2 bars over the course of a year. Like, I always like go around. Like
Mhm.
that's like the not stepping over the bar thing is deeply engraved. Even my own bar is like deeply engraved into me. Um, but you see people do it, and every now and then it pops up as like a conversation thing of like, don't let your dirty foot go over the bar. It's people put their hands, it's on your neck, things like that. Or just don't do it because you don't want to disrespect that person. Or you could trip. Like, that sucks too. You
Right.
go to step over a bar, fall flat on your face in front of someone's platform. But yeah, I don't know if there's ever a reason to be that crazy with things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how we got here to this part of the conversation.
Just like external stimuli and
Oh
how
yeah.
that throws you off. And yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta be ready for it. So that was one of the things that stuck out to me yesterday. I was like that. I don't know. Like, were you really gonna make that lift? Were you really confident you were gonna make that lift? Were you locked in? Like, the door bothered you that much? And then, uh, I don't know. I don't. Is there any part of the argument where it's like, let me know what you think about this. Like, is there a point where like you haven't even been trading that long for this to be an issue, type of a deal, or like, I
Mhm.
don't know, like, is there a reason for anyone to complain about that, or is there an argument for it? I don't know. What do you think, Miguel? Or should you just be ready to overcome it? Come on, you're an athlete. You got to perform.
Right. I think that's the thing of like, yeah, maybe, yes. I think you will always win that point of that shouldn't have happened while I was lifting.
Yes.
Agreed. Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the assumption that yes, there is an acknowledgement of like wrong in certain circumstances, but also, all right, now what? Like, I don't know how to fix that for you now. The moment has passed.
Yeah. Or you go to a national event, you're on the white platform in the middle, and on the red platform, there's a very popular lifter going, and they're going for a big lift, and they are screaming their heads off.
Right.
It gets crazy, at some of these things. You still got to do your lift. Like, you're standing there ready to go to jerk. You missed that jerk, and they were all screaming at the not opportune time for that lifter going, and the person on the mic is maybe going crazy. Like, you got to
Mhm.
overcome all that. Like, you just got to make the lift. It should just be you in the lift, and everything else, who knows what happened. A
Yeah.
baby cried, a dog barked. It's never going to be. There should be an expectation that it'll always be 100% perfect
Yeah.
situations. Like, yesterday was hot. It was so
Mhm.
hot in that gym. We were praying for rain, and then the rain came, and it was a loud. I don't know what happened out here, but there was an intense storm and raining where, like, you could hear it coming down on the building type of thing. Those people still have to go out there and make their lifts. We're not going to pause the competition until the rain passes and it's no longer loud or noisy. You just got to go out there and do your job type of deal.
Yeah.
That's one of the cool things about going to meet is just seeing all the different scenarios and like how people do things and be like, okay, I see what's happening. Like me for a coach, I need to mentally like make a note. Like I need to make sure we don't do that. I need to make sure we or be like, like, all right, I was thinking earlier today, we don't get press outs often on the team. We either make them or we don't, or all right, that was a really hard lift and then it fell apart. We weren't able to put the jerk together or the jerk was seriously affected by the hard clean.
Yep.
You guys have to fight for your lives for reps often on clean and jerk doubles. So I feel like the real test is the second jerk. And I don't see you guys press out second jerks often after getting the first one done and fighting for your life on clean number 2. You guys are trained to like keep it together on the jerk. So when the heavy weight comes on, let's say like for Haley, we're going for 97 kilos. All right, that hard clean we got there, you're at least primed a little bit to put maximum effort into trying to do this and to stick with it, even though it's sucked beforehand, because the expectation isn't that cleans are always going to feel good.
Yeah, exactly.
If anything, they feel like death. And we've already snatched doubles before that, where you had to mentally go under rep 2. Like how much of rep 2 on the snatches is mentally just being like, I'm going to let go and just actually commit to it. And then before that, you had to do heavy squats 5x5. Like Alex tells me, he's like, my legs are gone. Good. I'm glad they're gone. Now what can you do with this sub maximal weight? This is not a weight that should affect you. But we took away your legs, and now you have to try really hard. Well, what happens when the back squats are gone, and this is 150, and you finally got under it? Like, well, there were no back squats before that, and the snatches weren't as like they were singles. Well, you should be able to make this clean, this jerk, right? You should like. What's the excuse now? Like now, like you have your legs, and you've been through tough things. I don't know. That's what we're trying to do. Well, that's a component of our training.
Yeah.
It won't be there always. Like at some point we have to move on from that. We can't do this, what we're doing right now with these doubles and stuff year round. That's why we have to change the rep schemes. But we'll have pockets during the year where this is what we're doing. And if you look at our program for the entire year, it's only 12 weeks spaced out to a block of 6 weeks at the beginning of the year. And this block right now, where we're even doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the beginning of the year, we had those doubles we did. Then we were on to singles, right? Remember that?
Yep.
And then we tapered, and then we did a meet. Then we had a little bit of a break. Now we're back on to our doubles BS. Then we're going to go on to singles, taper for a meet, and then we're going to be on to very heavy singles, but singles still all the same, leading up to states, and then we're on the off season. So it's like, if you look at it, it's not a big amount of time that we're doing this. We're just like hardening up right now, and then we'll refine. And then the next challenge will be like, boy, this is 91%. But I'm hoping you will go under that 91% and make it because of the battles we had at 81%.
Yeah.
The weeks earlier. I think I've seen you guys do that. Do you think that's true? Do these just pockets of hell help a little bit?
Yeah. Like you're saying, for like meat wise, that's really it, where it's like that second jerk is your heavy clean and jerk when you're on the platform, where you're like, which is, I hate missing, but like, even when I miss, I'm like, all right, now what? We're going to attempt it again, which is also why I've been doing, I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like, there aren't many misses, honestly, across the team, but I've been trying to redo the double. Because I only miss my second. ever. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we know that we have one. The two is the hard part. And the two is that, let's say, the heavy clean and jerk on the platform. So that's the one
It's
that we need to
the
train.
double, the second rep is theoretically, in
Yeah.
my brain, clean and jerk 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And you could even go like if we're doing 3 sets of doubles, the first double, most of you guys don't like it's hard, but most of you guys don't struggle and we don't see misses there. That's where like we did the warm up and now the first official working weight double is like, all right, this is what I'm in store for the next 2 sets. So you could even correlate a little bit. The first double is attempt 1 of your clean and jerk at a meet. The second one is attempt 2, and then the third one's attempt 3 where you're like the that last double, like all of you guys are like, here we go. Like you, because like it's the thing that's also standing in front of you between being done or not,
Yep.
or finishing the session the way you want to set it for. Whereas at the meet, the last clean jerk is the PR or it's finishing the meet the way it's finishing the meet. It's the thing that stands in front of you of success or not. And back to what you were saying, it's like we're trying to overcome. We're almost training that. That's other than going to the meet. That's the only way I think we can kind of train that type of a situation.
Yeah. Like you're saying, like at a meet, you can tell when a person mentally crumbles after a hard clean. Some people are just lifters like that, where it's like difficult clean, but they got the jerk no matter what. But like for me, it's like, okay, I missed my second jerk. Great. I need to put myself back in that scenario, almost like that was, let's say, a missed opener or a missed attempt too, and we're taking that same weight again. Now I know that this is how my body's reacting to it. I'm still like beat. Like you said, like our legs are gone after all that we've done the entire session. Now what do I do? Like, how do I beat this now?
Yeah.
Because the time is going to come in a competition where you're like, I know exactly what this feels like. I know exactly what I have to do, what I have to focus on to make sure that I make this.
And what you've done and what you've overcome and been
Yeah.
through. Like I remember going to some meets where like my legs were gone because I'd never traveled on a plane before, you know, like I'd never had to go that far to do a meet. And it's like, boy, am I tired? Boy, did that flight affect me? Like, but like, what are you going to do now? Type of a deal. And I'm sure that affects people all the time when they start to go to their first national meets and stuff. Like, oh boy, this does not feel like Wednesday's normal training when I got
Yeah.
out of work or I didn't have to go to work and I just came in and the timing was all on what I wanted it to be. Like you guys are also doing this in 15 minutes, and we're also experimenting with like, all right, just getting there, like on not wasting too much energy on too many warm-up sets, which there is a big argument on why you would want to have a lot of warm-up sets and
Right.
get into it and whatnot. But also remember, our program is also born out of CrossFit.
Mhm.
Even though not all of you have CrossFit experiences or have done CrossFit, you know, our program is born out of so many things. Our program is born, of course, out of like what I've learned in my time and experience with Glenn Penley. It's born off of all of my experiences with CrossFit and what I've seen. Like, well, those athletes can do it. Like, if they can do it, why can't you do it? Like, look, they're breaking the rule that's out there in some
Yeah.
paper. Someone they're breaking it. Well, why can't we do that? It's born off of the John North experiences I had, where it's like, remember, my program was only max out every time, so it's like we could do that. All right, guys, step one, let's max out on the back squat. You may not PR, but you're going to get as high percentage as possible. And we're going crazy heavy all the time based on your abilities. And then guess what? We're going to max out the snatch and then the clean jerk. And there is no snatch from the hips. That stuff came in when Penlay came in. It
Mhm.
was just from the floor, max out all the time. Bulgarian method, all the time. That's all I ever did. I didn't have kilo plates either. It was all pounds. So it's like, but now we have that stuff. And now, so it's like, it's just all these different experiences that come together. And I think it helps.
Yeah.
I think doing all of it helps and making things very, very hard. Would I like to do a training cycle every now and then where it's like 8 warm ups? If you look in Penley's book and you see the warm ups, there's like 7 or 8 warm ups and then the working sets.
Yeah.
Um, Part of why we don't do that is a time thing.
Yeah.
We actually don't have time for it. And if I gave you guys 8 warm up sets and then 5 working sets and whatnot, and then I gave you the appropriate amount of time to get that done, some of you would still lag way behind if there wasn't the pressure of the clock.
Yeah.
You just would. You're just sitting there, just talking or whatnot, or just taking too long, and you're like, crap. All right, Jennifer is 2 sets away from being done, and I still have to do my last warm up set. Unacceptable in the
Right.
team training environment. We've been there as a team. One, we may need to slow down Jennifer a little bit. 2, you need to speed up a little bit. We need to meet in a common ground. But also now, if we slow down Jennifer a little bit, is that holding Jennifer back because you're being lazy?
Yeah.
To use a harsher word. And then at one point, you've seen it. I've been through points where we're all going to lift on a clock, like a timed clock, to ensure that we are all on the same page. Or I'm going to give John or Jennifer extra sets to do. Like, you guys are all doing 5, they're doing 8 sets, but I don't have a lot of room to have them go heavier. Heavier isn't the answer for them. They're just going. Like, they would still get it done and fast enough, even if the weight was heavier. So we've been through all these. There it is. All the trial and error as a team, and then we all had that experience together. But now I had that experience as a programmer. I'm like, all right, I know how these people operate. I know what's going to happen if we do this, we don't do that. And then I'll just take my concessions. Like, all right, day 4 warm up sets. That 4th warm up set is really because I want it there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more lifts from the floor. I want to make sure that like you guys are still warming up. But like, oh crap! All right, Jennifer's already done, and I didn't even get over there because there are only 6 sets, and Jennifer can burn through 6 sets no problem. Versus other of you guys will rest longer, and I can get to you, but others I can't. And that has been a challenge this training cycle. On like, can I even get to everybody? And maybe I'll accomplish it on the snatch, but I couldn't on the clean and jerk. Like, I don't know. There's some times where I'm like, I didn't really get to spend that much time with Miguel. Like, do you notice these things where it's like, I didn't get to be over, or like, I'm going to hover on this side. What I've been trying to do is just hover in areas longer, instead of like going over there, talk to Jennifer, I'm just going to hover in this quadrant for a bit. That's what I've been trying to do. Have you noticed these things?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm trying not to like make anyone feel slighted, be like, he didn't even talk to. Like, I did not talk to Justin on the clean and jerks on Wednesday at all.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of like during the bar work when I was giving out like, hey, you got to lock that out, go a little deeper. I'll be honest with you, I didn't get there at all. I spent a lot of time in like the L quadrant of you, Rebecca, and Haley, and then Jennifer, and then cut over to Shaf, Alex, Kyle. But for whatever reason, I just wasn't getting there because it never timed up. Like, he was never there. Like, he wasn't going when I was there. Like, it just doesn't line up the timing wise.
Yeah. I mean, it's good because I mean, we also, I think something that happens too is that we've all been timing ourselves based off of each other. So sometimes I'll be looking at the exact opposite of me, which is Justin. And I'll, not inadvertently, but I'll be watching Justin's lifts because I'll go, Justin also moves pretty fast. Yeah. So I go, all right, when Justin's done, when he drops his second lift, that's when I'll stand up and then I'll get ready to go do mine. So I'll be watching him and then like trying to cue him from across the room as well. So, I mean, it works out. But I think also what does happen is some days you're just on a certain rhythm. And if you come over and talk to us, we're watching the person that we're like, I go after they go. and
Yeah.
they just dropped their bar and you're still talking to me and I need to go because they're about to get ready to do their next set after that, and then everything's going to be thrown off. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And I go by vibes too. I'm like, all right, like Miguel's really struggling today. So I have to pick and point on like, is is it going to help if I'm on Miguel a lot, or do I need to give Miguel space? We've talked
right.
about this before, and all of you guys are like that. I'm just like, well, like, is it each person has a limit to how much coaching they're able to handle on any given day, and that's the same
Mhm.
with CrossFit class. They may come in on the day and like you just need to kind of give them, but like let's just go through it, like give them a couple things. And there's other people where like they're like, yeah, be with me and whatnot,
Mhm.
and like let's do this. And I'm sure you've noticed that when you're coaching your classes, everybody has a limit to how much coaching they can receive on the day.
Yeah.
Um, and some people want it. I could probably spend the entire time camped out in a chair right next to Rebecca's platform the entire time, because not only would she need that, and it would be very beneficial for her to have that every single lift, um, but she's open to it and,
Mhm.
and like and receptive to it. Like how can you imagine if I put a chair right next to your platform? I'm gonna be here with Miguel for the entire session. You'd be miserable, I think.
Because most of my cues are just like, yeah, this sucks, but like work harder. Like that was really what it was for me on Friday, where I was like, yeah, we're feeling. I mean, yeah, people have their different opinions on it too, because I mean, some of mine are like, well, the knee's not in a good spot today,
Yeah,
but I can do this still. I
yeah,
just have to force myself to do it. Like, I don't think I'm ever in the point of like, especially recently, of like injuring myself or like putting myself in danger. But
yeah,
there are days where it's like, yeah, it is either drop the weight or just work harder.
yeah,
So like sometimes you like tell me cues and I'm like, I do absorb them fairly well, but I'm like, you know, no
yeah.
matter what, like I don't think I have time to investigate this today. Like things just hurt. So I'm just gonna work a little bit harder.
I have to do it's my responsibility to do my
Yeah.
due diligence, right? Like and that goes back to like if you weren't at least expecting it a little bit or wanting it a little bit, you wouldn't be training in a group with a coach in the room. You'd be
Yeah.
training on your own time, playing on your phone, things like that. So like there's certain touch points that need to be met, and there are so many like with your knee, like I have, because I care and I care about you and I don't want you to get hurt, I have to keep probing just to see like, okay, are you sure it's okay, but also I'm of the mindset and philosophy, he's a big boy, he's an adult, he's has free will, he's going to make decisions. If it 100% was going to lead to injury, I trust he will tell me not today. And
Yeah,
you've done that in the
for
past.
sure. Yeah.
We've changed things in the past where you've bench pressed instead of squatting and
Mhm.
stuff like that, right? So it's like he will tell me, and I trust, and I've given you that trust that you will fix this. There's if we have a new person come in, I can't trust them at all.
Right.
Like no, no, no. Like I don't like I you have not earned this yet, right? Like I can't trust, because I you might be willing to lie to me simply because you want to be able to do it. And you're crazy in your head. You're like, if I don't do it, I'm not going to get better. Blah, 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 like that's what some beginners come in, what they're bringing to the table, right? But like Miguel's table is different. Like, okay, I'm going to check in. I'm going to keep asking, are you sure? Are you sure? And it might ask us at every single component, and then I might throw it out there on the table. Like here, here's my flag down. Like, well, hey, how about we power today? Or should we go to singles? Or should we just do one set and whatnot? And if you tell me yes, that lets me know that this is a little more serious at this point than what we need to.
Right.
But then the answer is still yes, let's do that. Let's still
Mhm.
get as most effective training done as possible. And I have to ask and probe. But then whatever you leave me with is like, okay, I trust Miguel is making the right decision for himself. But other people I can't do that with.
Yeah.
If someone's new, I got like, no, 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 let's do this. And other people, I feel like there's a lot of you at that point. Like with Haley, it's like I was like, hey, I threw it out there. What if we powered instead of doing full lifts? And she's like, yes, yes, that will allow me to continue to train instead of just sitting here and doing nothing and calling it, and not make my back any worse, you know. And you have to have that open line of communication, like, you know, with with female lifters, there are going to be times during every month where things don't line up, you know, and it's not something that male lifters have any perspective with, you know. So but because of what's going on internally in the body, things hurt, things aren't going to work out, and we could push and get an injury that once this time has passed will still be there. So it's like, why? So like, I'll be in communication with Haley all next week and be like, hey, here are the weights I have planned for later on today. Normally I don't ask this, but since I know what's going on, and Haley is open enough to let me know when it is time. Like, you have to have that kind of relationship and trust with your athlete.
Yeah.
And okay. And also she has to know that, like, all right, we can change things. I'm not going to be mad that you can't do doubles and full lifts and whatnot, or this. With her, it's like, hey, all right, take it as far as you feel productive. Do the triples on the back squat as far as you feel until the point we need to change things. And it was right up to the working weight last week, where it's like, not just, or the last 3 sets. And I think she would have kept going for triples. And I was just like, no, do singles.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't matter. You know, you're still going to get 118 on your back and squat it.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt in my head that if we are on track to PRing when we do in week 5, it won't be there, because on week 3 we had to do 1 day singles for 3. Like, show me the paper that says that it doesn't line. Like, come on now. Like, that's all theoretical stuff. She will be okay. What's important now is keeping her healthy and not tweaking something that will linger post this period right now that we're on. So you just have to roll with the punches in training. And that's how, if we tie it back to what we were talking about before, we do individualized training that way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is what we need to do today. Or, you know, if someone needed to add another set, or for day 4, I'll add in, for some things, it'll say in parentheses, optional. If you need this set, it's there. If you don't need it, move on and take less time on your Saturday to do all this stuff. That's where the individualized component comes into. On our individualization are the actual weights that you're doing for yourself and what you did before. What are you working on? And then, do we need to make any adjustments in this way if we have a hairy situation going on?
Uh-huh.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I used to do the programming way back on, okay, Miguel needs to be better at the knees. So we're all going to do like pauses at the knees. Haley needs to improve the bottom position for the snatch. So we're all going to do snatch balances. I used to just kind of like look across on like what each individual needed the most, and then put that together in a group program, because my philosophy with it was, no doubt if Schaff needs to work on his dip and drive for the jerk, we all kind of do. Like are we could all benefit from doing that for a cycle. And then the result used to be Schaff would get better, his jerk would get better, but then you all did productive work and would get better. So that used to be the old way that I would program, or one of the phases of programming with it. I'm just like, well, what does each person need? Because I'm not going to write Schaff an individualized program on all these dip drives and stuff like that. Like, I'm just make you all do it, type of deal. And that's just another way you could do it. Like, when you have a group, just that's how you can build your program there. And then you don't need ChatGPT. You have your people. So what do they need to do? And then there's exercises you can then you can ask ChatGPT, hey, what are some good exercises that I could program to improve the bottom position for the snatch? And it'll give you a list of ones. And then you can look, all right, what ones am I comfortable coaching? What one? All right, we just did that, so we're not going to do that. And then, all right, I think I'll pick this one. And then use basic common sense to like write the sets and reps and stuff. And then start your progression, and then do it either by the calculator or do it like how we do now. We just start and then it's a week to week thing. You might go up a kilo, you might go up 5 kilos. If you tell me the back squats for 5, you've given me free reign to put 10 more kilos on the next week. You may
Yeah.
not be happy about it, but we will. And that's what happened with Alex on the front squats. And it was super funny. Well, not fun. Well, it was enjoyable. He was looking at me like he was giving me these looks where I didn't know. I should have asked him, but I want to know what he was like looking at me specifically. Like, why did you do this to me, or why are you hurting me? But then he still put a 5 down, and I'm like, you've given me the permission to,
Yeah.
like you said it was easy, like, and you're still going through it. And I'm like, well, he said it was easy, and he even wrote down not bad, and I'm like, wow, all right, well, why wouldn't we go up to the next thing? But
Yeah.
then he's looking at me like, what did I do to you that you did this to me? And I just thought that was just funny. Did you see him with any of these
No.
looks? Or
No.
oh, all right, he was. He's breathing heavy. The eyes are glazed over a little bit. I mean, he's front squatting 170 for 3 sets of 3, and
Yeah.
next week it might be 180. We'll see. And I don't know what either one of those, because I don't have any record of his PRs for those things. So let's take it as far as we can. Um, and I think that's good for him. Although I did tell him for his doubles, we need to approach his doubles the way a super might.
Mhm.
Like not many of those big guys are like, they're not dropping it and then getting right back on the way you are.
Yep.
You weigh 67 kilos. They're gonna drop it, and a double for them is my 20-second break in between, 30 seconds. Maybe a minute. For some people. And then you get back on it. And then when the weights reach a certain point, you might need to do that. So I've been trying. I was encouraging a lot of people to take a little bit longer. I was just kind of going around the room, putting out fires of like, take a little longer rest,
Yeah.
take a little bit longer. Did I say that to you, to take a little longer rest? Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, the group everyone needs a little bit of this, and I didn't. It's not something I realized going into it, because the week before we didn't need it. So I didn't need to make that announcement at the beginning of class. I'm like, hey, all right, the double, if you need to take 20 seconds, that's fine. But this next week, I will be peppering that in, because I know how last week went. And we are approaching weights where, I don't know. We get through phases in our programming where the working weights are accidentally PRs week to week.
Yeah.
And you don't know it. I don't know it, but it's okay, because because I feel like if we did know it, it would change things,
Yeah.
because now there's a roof on it. And sometimes when I know, I'm like, sometimes I do know, and I'm like, all right, it's a year and a half old, so my expectation is, of course, we would be beyond that. By how much, I don't know, but I can't tell Miguel that this is his old PR from the low hang for 2, because if I do, that puts the expectation on that this is too heavy, this is too maximal, or we're right at the line.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we talked about a few things before. This is the razor's edge type of thing. We are walking very fine lines, and me just telling you that this is what your old PR was, or your old PR was 5 kilos ago. Like, I don't need to. I don't know. You don't need to know that, right?
Right.
Some of you do. Some of you check the numbers and stuff. But other guys, you come in blind, and I think it's good to not know, because then when we actually go now, when it's on PR day, and you do PR, like, all right, that was like look at that, like that's even more productive.
Yep.
So we are in that territory now. We've done that with like 3 position stuff before, where it's like, we're using PRs as working weight. It accidentally happened with Jennifer on the front squats. But man, how awesome would that have been if we stuck with it and did it 2 more
Yeah.
sets? Then it's like, wow, all right, that's really, really heavy training. And we do want to be training really, really heavy. We do. It's unfortunate for our bodies and mental health and mindset and everything. But we get it done. We get it done. Cool. Well, that's everything I have, Miguel. Any closing thoughts on everything we've talked about? Just no excuses and just no ChatGPT. Well, I don't know. There's some things ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, I feel like we definitely covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think we covered it. So, Miguel, where can people follow you?
Couldn't it be Miguel on Instagram?
On Instagram. And then follow me, James A. McDermott. Follow the show, The Barbell Strikes Back, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club. And we'll be back next week with more stuff.
Yep.
Later. Thank you if you're listening. So, Shaw, thank you for listening all the way through. Thank you. And good job.